Please enjoy this brief video depiction of what my gas tank looked like before I decided to tear it apart and rebuild it. That's right, it was leaking. Got to get the tank off of the bike. Once you get the tank off the bike, you lay it down on the bench and you start tearing it apart. First things first, we've got a couple little screws pulling the shutoff valve handle off. Then we got a couple more screws pulling the shutoff valve body out of the tank. You can see the filter is a little bit tight in the tank. We took a little finesse to try to wiggle that thing out of there. Didn't want to break it or tear it because I don't have one of those. It didn't come with the rebuild kit. You can see a lot of debris stuck to the filter, which was basically at the bottom of the tank. I don't know what that was. It kind of looked like sawdust or something. Anyway, that was one of the reasons why I decided to rebuild it. This fuel shutoff is no longer available. It's for a 2004 KTM 105 SX. A little bit of fuel was dripping out. As soon as I put fuel in the tank, it wouldn't stay in. Now, it's possible it might have just been the O-ring between the shutoff valve and the tank, but rather than just try the O-ring, I decided, hey, there's a rebuild kit available. Why not rebuild it? It might be a different part inside the shutoff, and I don't want to have to take this thing apart again. So in the kit, obviously we can see the O-ring between the shutoff valve and the tank. Pop that out. It was pretty crusty, mostly dry and cracked. And you can see there was a lot of debris and dirt and such. Just try to use a pick tool to get that out of there as clean as I could. Get a rag, wipe it out. Same thing on the tank mount surface. The filter itself, it probably comes off of there. I just didn't want to break it. I kind of tugged on it a little bit, but I decided just put it back as it is. Again, it was pretty tight getting it in and out of the tank, so I had to be very careful. Use a lot of finesse not to break it. Once we got that back into the tank, we've got a couple new screws to be able to mount the shutoff valve body to the tank. You can see I just got my tiny little 1/4-inch ratchet with a 6mm socket, be able to get those screws back tight again. You can see also the rebuild kit, obviously, like I just showed you, comes with an O-ring. It also comes with a few extra other little parts. You can see this sort of metal washer that I've got a new one that comes with a rebuild kit, and I decided it didn't look like there was anything wrong with the old one, but I decided to go ahead and swap it out with the new one. Why not? So this is me kind of putting that back together. So the rebuild kit, let's see, came with a couple of large screws to be able to mount the valve to the tank, came with an O-ring, came with another little washer, metal washer, and then the most important part is this little diaphragm, I guess you could call it, with the 4 holes. This is really the main reason why I got the kit. Everything else I probably could have made do, but if the leak was coming from this little 4-hole rubber diaphragm, then there's just no getting around it. Here I'm just trying to make sure that I got all my washers lined up, and then I realized, oh yeah, there's one other part that comes in the kit, and that's the 2 little tiny screws that hold the valve handle onto the main body of the shutoff. So grab my new screwdriver that I got for free at Harbor Freight Tools. It's a number 2 Phillips. Quinn, I think, is the brand, but basically tiny little screws. Get my new screwdriver, tighten up those little screws, try to get everything back tight again and lined up properly. I tried to get the parts as clean as I could. I used a little bit of carb cleaner and some compressed air. Try to make sure, and obviously you saw with the pick tool as well, try to make sure I got as much debris out of there as possible. I don't want that causing anything not to seal properly. This part here was probably the most difficult part, even though I would say overall this was very easy to rebuild a fuel shutoff. However, it's kind of hard to capture in the camera, but basically that little washer that I had gotten with the rebuild kit that I put in there just wasn't quite tight. The screws, they just didn't seem to quite sit flush, and I thought, something's not quite right. So anyway, when I go to grab the shutoff lever, obviously it's really, really tight and something doesn't seem right. So loosen up the screws, try to get a little play, and then once I start moving that handle around, that little lever, everything kind of gets back into alignment, starts feeling smooth and functional, operational. So I tighten the screws back down, make sure everything was nice and flush, and there you have it. Completely rebuilt fuel shutoff. Come check out my other video where I put the tank on the bike and start it up after it's been sitting for 2 full years. I can tell you, if it does start, it's going to be very difficult. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Like, follow, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.